Hello. I know so far my videos have been about building the house, but we're trying to make this a bit of a working farm. Can't really say that because we don't have a whole lot going yet, but we've got a few cows. I should say we've got some bulls. We got 5 bulls. They're called Red Devons. They're kind of a medium-sized breed, so they're not real big. They're pretty tame. Even the boys are pretty tame. And we are helping out, or working with one of our neighbors. He's got a herd of maybe 25 or 30 of these Red Devons, and he just needed some help in separating the bulls from the rest of the herd for obvious reasons. We try not to, or he tries not to have any calving done in the winter time, and would like to have him, start having calves in March, maybe end in July. So try to separate the bulls from the girls to try to space all that out. So it helps him out, and it helps me out with the ag exemption and whatnot, and just kind of getting my feet wet with cattle. So one thing that I like to do, we're an organic type of family. We don't do any, or we don't use any harsh chemicals in the house and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of the approach, the more, I guess, natural approach to things in everything that we do, and that kind of comes back to, or includes the way that we are trying to raise these boys and trying to take care of our land. So we are using or utilizing a form of rotational grazing. So I've got 20 acres, quite a bit of it is woods, so that only leaves us about 14 or 15 grazable acres for the cows, or in this case for the bulls. So that leaves us about 10 paddocks that I've got set up to rotate them out. So I try to leave them in on a paddock for about 4 days, and most of my paddocks are in the maybe 1 acre to 1.5 acre range, somewhere around in there. So I use electric fence and just set up each paddock every time and move the boys from one paddock to the next. They stay on for about 4 days. That way they're able to eat their fill of grass. They're able to leave all their poop and pee behind for the land, and then we move them before they eat all the grass down to the nub, so that the grass still has enough leaf material and whatnot for good photosynthesis, so the roots can continue to grow instead of trying to recover, using its energy to try to recover from being overgrazed, and be able to just continue to grow, continue to produce roots, and move forward. So we move them every 4 days, and that keeps them off of a paddock for about 40 days. So they'll stay on one paddock for 4 days, and then they won't see that paddock again for another 40 days. So that leaves it time to rest, time for the pathogens and whatnot to either die off or go away. I really don't know a lot about that. I just know that it's, you need at least 30 days of the cows being off the paddock. So anyway, that's what I'm doing today. They've been here actually 5 days. Sometimes I get busy doing other stuff. So they've been on this paddock for 5 days. So I'm going to leave this fence intact that I've got right here, for the most part intact. And I will now take up what separates it from the first paddock they were on, and then just go ahead and move it over here to the next paddock and make that boundary and let them over. They're probably going to start mooing before too long, because they're probably ready to go. Here I'm looking at these paddocks right here. You can possibly see a difference between this area here and this area over there. It's a little brighter green over here and a little darker green over here. So that tells us that they've definitely been eating this down. and it's doing pretty well. We still have quite a bit of grass remaining. We still got a lot of this goat weed, but there's some areas that are down pretty good. We've also had our first couple of freezes, so that hasn't helped us out with grass growing. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to do right now and get ready for the move. So I added this water trough here with the little float switch, so that as they drink the water down, the float switch kicks the water on and it fills back up. I ran a PEX line, PEX A, from here, actually from the well house all the way over here is about 750 feet. So it's always supplying water to this trough here, and as long as it's hooked up and nothing happens to the line, then it's always going to keep the water replenished up here, which is really nice because all 4 of these paddocks, I just took up the one over there. So there's one paddock there, this one here, and then we've got 2 more paddocks here. I just create a little alleyway from one paddock to the next to be able to have access to this water here. So this one here, I just did this little angle right there so they'll be able to get into it from here. And then once I put them in the number 4 paddock over there, then I'll just have a long alleyway and they'll be able to come back up here and still drink out of the same watering trough. That way I only had to do it once and it supplies it for 4 paddocks. Well, my audio died right here, but we've got the paddock set up, so the electric fence is strung on the next side, separating paddocks 3 from 4. And now we'll just need to bring these guys across the way. Obviously, they're ready. They've eaten their fill again. So we've got these 5 red Devon. We've got Brownie and Rocky, Zeke, Hank, and Casey. One of them is about 2.5 years old. That'd be Hank. The rest of them are about 1.5 years old. You can see that Brownie over here to the right is a little bit different. His face is white. He's actually crossed with a chalet. And he's a little bit bigger than the rest of the red Devons. But I believe his dad was a red Devon and mom was a chalet. So these guys are trained pretty well. They're still pretty afraid of that wire, so I just put it down, and most of the time they'll walk right over it. There's typically a holdout. Usually it's Hank. We call him holdout Hank. But several of them will go on, and then finally the last one will go. Today, they're moving pretty quick. They are ready to go. So now that they are across, we can put the electric cables back up and we can go over and turn the electric fence back on, the fence charger, and they are ready to be here for the next 4 days or so.